Celebrated Independence Day on Thursday. The country's president accused the CIA of toppling his government's founder.
The verdict of history is now loud and clear. The classified documents from the United States archives reveal that this was a coup inspired and engineered by the CIA. This remains the most regrettable and darkest moment in our nation's history.
Okay, welcome to So and So. My name is Xavier. Now, this is President John Dramani Mahama talking about the involvement of the American CIA in the coup d'etat that happened on the 24th of February 1966 that led to the overthrow of the first president of the Republic of Ghana, Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now, this has been an open secret. People say it a lot that America was involved in the coup that happened in Ghana, the first coup d'etat that happened in Ghana, but not any official statement from the head of state or the vice president ever. But President John Dramani Mahama said this on the 6th of March 2025 at the seat of the presidency during the celebration of Ghana's Independence Day. And he made mention that the CIA was involved in the coup d'etat, or they led the coup that led to the overthrow of Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Now, this thing is, bringing the deep hole, the gap that is already been happening between the American nation and the African nation. You remember on the inaugural ceremony of President John Dramani Mahama on the 7th of January 2025, he made mention of the GDP of the BRICS nation and the GDP of the G7 nation, talking about how the BRICS nation are going higher.
There's a seismic shift happening within the system of global economic dominance. Whereas the G7 nations, United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan once provided the highest percentage of the world's GDP, over the last decade, that number has been steadily dropping. However, the combined total of the GDP of the BRIC nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, their GDP has been consistently increasing. In 2023, for instance, the G7's combined total of world GDP was 30%. But by 2029, that number is predicted to drop to 27%. In 2023, the BRICS percentage of world GDP was 37.3%. And so what does this mean to us in Ghana? What could it mean to our economy? Where do we fit in this geopolitical maelstrom?
He did not say categorically that Ghana is going to join the BRICS nation, but he made mention of the BRICS nation doing better than the G7 nation. Now, what happened again? On the 4th of March 2025, just recently, Russia led a high-power delegation, military delegation to the nation of Mali, to strengthen the bilateral security trade between the two nations. Just after the celebration, Ghana's president has stormed Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the Sahel nation. Before then, 5th of March 2025, just a day before the Independence Day celebration, President John Dramani Mahama was in La Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, the neighboring country to Ghana, on the western part of Ghana. Now, in that visit, President of La Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, appealed to President John Dramani Mahama that he should use his influence to bring back the Sahel nation, namely Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, back to ECOWAS. That's the economic community of West African states. We know that Ghana's president, the new president John Dramani Mahama, has a good relationship with the Sahel nation. So Cote d'Ivoire president took that opportunity to appeal to President John Dramani Mahama to make the Sahel nation come back to join the economic community of West African states. President John Dramani Mahama acknowledged that statement. And so just after the independence celebration in Ghana on the 6th of March 2025, he stormed the Sahel nation. Now, the first visit was to Mali on the 8th of March 2025. He stormed Mali at the Madiba Keita International Airport. He was actually welcomed by the President General Goita at the airport. That visit took about 24 hours. He toured the nation of Mali. They talk about the bilateral trade between the two nations. how to strengthen the security between the two nations, and also fight terrorism. You know that there has been a lot of terrorism in the Sahel nation. Now, President John Dramani Mahama is now building a bridge between the Economic Community of West African States, that is the ECOWAS, and then the Sahel nation, the Alliance of the Sahel States, the Sahel nation. It is not clear if the Sahel nation will dissolve their group and now come back to join ECOWAS. It's not going to happen. That we can say for a fact. But there's no problem if the Sahel nation come back to join West Africa, as well as keeping the Sahel alliance as well, because there's nothing wrong if you join multiple regional bodies, so you can be part of ECOWAS and still be part of the Sahel nation. And so President John Dramani Mahama is seen as somebody that is bridging that gap, building that bridge between the Sahel nation and then the ECOWAS nation. Remember, when they left ECOWAS, they tried ECOWAS nation led by the ECOWAS chair, the president of Nigeria, tried to talk with them to come back to join ECOWAS, but they vehemently denied coming back to join ECOWAS. Now, President John Dramani Mahama visited Mali. They talk about those trade. During that visit, he talked about the good trade that existed between Mali and Ghana way back, during the era of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and then Keita, the first president of Mali, and then the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. He as well went to the center of the city of Bamako, that's the capital of Mali, to visit the statue of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, a huge statue of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah that is mounted at the city center of Bamako. That is a historic visit as well. Now, after then, he went to Niger. That is the second, Sahel nation. He was welcomed by the General Abdul Rahman Terra. Yes, that is the leader of the transitional president of Niger. As well, he thanked them for sending delegation during his inaugural ceremony on the 7th of January 2025. Mali and then Niger sent a delegation to Ghana. That's established a good neighborliness between them. So he thanked them, and as well to strengthen the trade between the two countries, to strengthen security between the two nations, the nation of Mali and the nation of Ghana, the nation of Niger and then the nation of Ghana, to strengthen bilateral trade between the nation, and then to fight terrorism as well. From there, on the 10th, that is the third day, he went to Burkina Faso. Now, Burkina Faso is just the immediate neighbor to Ghana on the northern belt of Ghana. So from the northern part of Ghana, you move to Burkina Faso. And during the inaugural ceremony of Ghana, the Burkinabe president, that is the transitional president, Ibrahim Traore, was actually in Ghana during that ceremony. He was heavily welcomed. A lot of people were happy that he was in the country. He spent a couple of days in the country visiting the Burkinabe society, the Burkinabe citizen living in Ghana. He was, in a meeting with Ghana's new president, John Dramani Mahama, after the inaugural ceremony. So John Dramani Mahama now went there to thank him personally for coming to his inaugural ceremony. Now, they talk about a lot of things, including trade that he has been discussing with the other Sahel nation, including strengthening security between the two nations to fight terrorism. He actually said that when you see that your neighbor's house is on fire, you need to help quench that fire. If not, it's going to spread to yours. So anything that is happening in those neighboring countries, he needs to be involved in fighting those things as well. He even talked about, the reason why they left ECOWAS. In that discussion, President John Dramani Mahama made mention of a breakdown of trust between the Sahel nation or Burkina Faso and ECOWAS. So that means that Ibrahim Traore tried to complain that there was a breakdown of trust with the ECOWAS member that led to they leaving the community of West African states. So he talked about ways that they can, make it, easy now, to build back the trust that coexisted between the neighboring nation. As a matter of fact, he termed this visit to this nation as the good neighborliness tour. The good neighborliness tour. You need to visit your neighbors to know what is happening in the other countries as well. That is the good neighborliness tour that existed between the two nations of Ghana and Burkina Faso, as well as Niger and as well as Mali. Now, John Dramani Mahama, people are saying that he's the second Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. As to that, it might be politics. But as a matter of fact, whether you are by his side or you're not by his side, these are good moves. During the vetting of the Foreign Affairs Minister, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, he made mention something.
I would like to make reference to our foreign policy, which Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah presented to this House on the 16th of December, 1959. He talked about Ghana's foreign policy being positively neutral, that we shall not look left or right, we shall look forward. And that is why, after that, he collaborated with his colleagues to establish the non-aligned movement in 1961. So Kwame Nkrumah said that as much as possible, we shall seek to be friends of all and enemies to none. So our posture will remain same. We will seek to be good friends to all of these countries. But being good friends, as Kwame Nkrumah said on the 16th of December 1959, doesn't mean that if along the line there is a misstep, you engage in some violation of international law, you go against the rule-based order, it does not mean that we will not speak out or point it out to you. That is even what shows that we are really good friends.
He said that Ghana is trying to come back, or now we are moving with the ideology of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah that be friends with everybody and enemies to none. As in all your neighbors, everybody, every organization, you try to be okay with them, be friend with them, not to join them, but be friend with everybody, as well as try not to offend the other people. So friends for all, enemies for none. I think this is what they are doing. Despite the fact that the Sahel nation are, in some kind of conflict with the West African nation, they try to be friend with them, and then try to be friend with the kind of economic community of West Africa. There was West African, neighbors as well. Everybody with the Sahel nation, with the ECOWAS nation, with the AU nation, with the BRICS nation, with the G7 nation, try to be friend with everybody, but enemies to none. Now, that is a great move from John Dramani Mahama. We thank him for what he's doing, and we want more of this in West Africa and in Africa as a whole. Let's try to be neighbors to each other. Let's not, allow foreign, counterpart to come in and divide us. Already they've divided us. Small continent of Africa, we're having 54 to 55 countries in one continent. There are a lot of borders within this country. Now let's try to visit our neighbors to close down those physical and mental borders that existed between the African nation. Now, this is also so we'll be bringing you more updates, more things that are happening in the geopolitics of West Africa and the Sahel nation. That is the alliance of the Sahel states between Mali, between Niger, between Burkina Faso, and the West African neighbors as well. This is also so. My name is Xavier. For now, we are out.